Hello, Guchuku. Welcome to Real Exchange.
Morning. It's a pleasure being here. And
Oh,
on the
yes.
subject matter
Thank
of
you for
eating, I
joining
think everyone
us.
eats.
So, let's look at the agriculture sector, agribusiness. Yes, we've been doing, or Nigeria has been in agriculture from time immemorial, but fine tuning that practice, how would research help, and to what area should the research be focused?
Like you rightly pointed out, agriculture has been our way of life. And from where we're coming from, agri has always been treated more like a cultural thing than a business. But the advent of innovations and technology and all of that not and rapid urbanization is now beginning to stretch the need or stress the need for agri to be viewed from a different perspective and to be viewed as a business. And so every time you talk about business, one of the things you're looking at is profitability, and you're looking at efficiency, you're looking at better management, and that's the only way the sector grows. So, in my view, um, the step in the right direction is first of all to begin to reorient our people to see agriculture not just as culture or as a norm, but to begin to view it from the perspective of business. And the moment we begin to do that, we'll start asking the right questions, and then we'll begin to, employ the right strategies. As to how research and development will, benefit the agricultural space in Nigeria, um, I think one thing we need to begin to do is adaptation. So look at it from this perspective. About 80% of the entire Nigerian population or homes produce one thing or the other. Either they have a garden or they have a small farm, a vegetable farm, one thing or another. We're blessed with arable lands. And so we necessarily do not have to view agriculture the same way the Western world views it, where we talk about large farms and contiguous farms where we have thousands and thousands of hectares. No, we have to adapt, research and development to our own climate, where we have practically everyone, labeled a smallholder farmer. And then, of course, as you know, about 90 to 95% of farmers in Nigeria are smallholder farmers, which means we necessarily do not cultivate contiguous land. So we must begin to look in the area of seed development. And then when it comes to mechanization, we must look to adaptable mechanization. In other words, modular mechanics. For instance, think about modular planters, think about, modular harrowers, ridgers, and then all of those stuff that are not as bogus and big and expensive to maintain. Things that smallholder farmers can easily tools they can easily use that gives them the same result and the same rate of efficiency. These things will naturally boost our productivity and our efficiency and ensure that agriculture becomes um, a sustainable business that the young people can look towards as a means of earning. Thank you.
All right. When it comes to research and development, I'm sure you will agree with me that data is inevitable. Talk to us about the availability of data and then how well as these data reports or findings or recommendations being made, how well have they been utilized over the years?
So, in all honesty, like I said, it is one. You see, data is data until it is retrofitted to specific needs. First things first, most of the data we have in the agricultural space, of course, the National Bureau of Statistics are doing great and fantastic job, availing us data from rainfall patterns to production and then to yield and all of that. Not they're doing a great job. every time you go to the site, you find, the availability of data concerning, especially concerning the agricultural space and other spaces in general. But when you talk about the application of data towards solving problem, it has to be retrofitted, which brings me to the kinds of research that we have been published in the nation today. If you go to most of our higher institutions, for those who are undergraduate, the postgraduate research, the question is how many of those researches are tailor-fitted or retrofitted to specific industry demand? How many of those researches are sponsored by the industry where they are actually needed? So a student goes to school or the higher institution, and then of course, as a demand or as a prerequisite, he has to do a research before he is graduated or awarded a degree or a postgraduate degree, as the case may be. And that student goes, picks a random topic, and then yes, he breaks through, but that research is in some faculty filing system or cabinet and never used. So this should give us a wake-up call on the need for the private sector and the educational institutions within the nations to collaborate in fostering or encouraging research or driving research in particular directions, areas of need, such that at the end of the day, these research are easily adopted because they are already retrofitted to solve private sector problems. A lot of the researches we have are just for keepsakes and knowledge sake, and then most times for those research to be applicable to the private sector, they have to be retrofitted. In other words, work has to go into it. Work has to go into it for those research to become usable, and I really think that's limiting the rate of adaptation for most of the data we have out there. So yes, data will play a key role in the agricultural space, very, very important and very key. But that data has to be retrofitted. It has to be tailor-fit to solve the specific issues that the agricultural sector is facing. And until that is done, we will continue to pump out data and data that necessarily are not applicable or cannot be used within the macro niches or the value chain niches where they are required.
Okay, so in being intentional about research topics, what are the key areas you would like for research to target in agriculture and agribusiness?
So I began to mention a few earlier on. For instance, retrofitting research, especially in the area of mechanization. One of the things that we lack in the Nigerian agribusiness space is technology. We lack sophistication, and this whole and cutlass production mentality is not going to take us to the future that we all desire, a future that is full of abundance. So first things first, we must get production right. So researches should be tailored in the area of a production. For instance, modular planters that are both effective and durable. Looking at modular harrowers, ridgers. Most of our farmers cultivate less than 5 hectares contiguous space, and when you see that, you cannot get that kind of farmer to go invest into procuring a tractor. I mean, the cost implication is really, really huge. And every time, our first idea is to gather these farmers into, a cooperative so they can get tractors. And you and I know that facilities that are communally owned necessarily are not in the best of shapes. We've tried this for many years and really, really, it doesn't work. And in most instances, if it's communally owned, then the whole issue of who uses when and who uses the whole rationing of such such equipment, we work with these farmers and we see the issues that this raise. So rather than go that route, I'd rather we begin to, invest finances and research in the areas of effective modular techs that we can use. Of course, we have these Chinese planters, and many times it goes really, really bad. The accuracy after planting a hectare or two with it drops drastically. So we need to invest, in the area of modular tech, that will allow our farmers do what they need to do, and then in an effective manner that encourages, number one, increased productivity, number two, saves time, number three, encourages profitability for this smallholder farmers. So that's one area. The second area is in the area of seed. As it stands right now, we do not have a lot of work in the direction of seed development. Most of the seeds that are being sold in the country are at best low yielding. If you come to the areas of maize production, Nigeria is still struggling between seeds that have a yield potential of 3.5 to 5.5 metric ton. In the Western world, we're talking about seeds with yield potentials of almost at least 100 metric ton. Now, what are the problems? When you go there, take those seeds and you bring them home, they are unable to survive. They've not been retrofitted, they've not been adapted to our climate and stuff, so they don't do well. So I think there's a lot of work that needs to go in the area of seed development as well. Then number three, area of post-harvest management or handling. Now, at the moment, we do not have a problem of production. With all of our crude ways of producing food, Nigeria is still doing fairly well. We still have lots of tomatoes, perishables, onions, okra, just name them. We have thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of metric tons of cereals produced annually. But when it comes to post-harvest handling and management, it is poor. So Nigeria is still suffering a lot of damage in the area of post-harvest losses. And so we need to begin to, employ research and technology and development in the area of post-harvest management. Back in the day, we used to have national silos where excess grains are repatriated to and held until the time of need. Right now, those facilities are at their best dormant. And so we need to begin to look into this. Government needs to wake up and begin to drive in consonance with the private sector research in the areas of post-harvest management. This way, we are able to preserve the little we are producing while we are looking to improve our productivity. So we have a problem. We're not producing optimally, and even the little we produce, we are not managing it, optimally. So we are not effective when it comes to production, and we're not effective when it comes to managing the little that is produced. So on both ends, we are losing. So I think that first of all, we need to push research in the area of mechanization and the modular mechanization, to be specific. We need to push research in the area of seed development, and then we need to push research in the area of post-harvest management to prevent losses. Thank you.
Okay. Let me ask you, what do you think can be done to facilitate the proper utilization of data research, at the national level, state level, even at the local level, to ensure that there's proper development in the agri sector? What can be done to encourage proper utilization of data research, and also to attract funding of research at the national level, the state level, and the local level?
So very little can be done without effective policies in place. We have lots of businesses that come into this country, and both foreign and domestic companies who do business. And when you look at what they're doing and you look at their books, you find out that very little or nothing is dedicated to research and development. So if, for instance, you come into Nigeria and we have a policy in place that says, okay, 10% of your profit or 5% of your profit must go towards the development of that sector. I'm not sure we'll be having this conversation. We would have been way past this point. So we have people taking in from sectors and they are giving nothing back. So we must have policy frameworks from government that ensures or that enforces the give back system. You take, you give. So if we had policies in place that ensured that private sector companies, whether domestic or foreign, are giving back to this sector from where they take so much, then we would have been past, where we are today. So I deeply encourage our policy makers to look into it. First of all, the private sectors will not just wake up and partner with the educational sector to give them money to do some research. They are happy taking what they can take every year, every business quarter, and take whatever they can take. But if we had policies that insist, they say, okay, 5%, 10% of your annual profit must be pushed in the direction of research and development, then we'll definitely have research institutes that are uniquely tailored to solve private sector problems. For instance, I took a trip to Station F in Paris, one of the largest incubator programs in the world, and there you find different unicorns, multinationals, from Beaners to Microsoft Word, name them. They're all there. And what do? They create an environment where they train future entrepreneurs, where they train business owners on blockchain, agriculture, science, and tech. Just name it. Everyone has a hub there, and these people are pumping millions of dollars in there to train, businesses and to train next generation business. So if you have an idea that can solve a Microsoft problem, they have money for you. They're waiting for you. If you have an idea that can solve a Binance problem, they have money and they're waiting for you. These things are only made possible because policies have been put in place. If you've got to function, you've got to give back. And so if you were to visit Station F, you find out that most of these multinationals are there. And what's the difference? We have big, gigantic companies in Nigeria doing business, and yet we have nothing. You do not go to our educational institutions and see their partnerships there. Nothing. They just take and take and take, and at most, all we see is some funny CSR program. But we must have policies from government. Okay. And when we have policies from government, it becomes easy to drive collaboration in the area of retrofitted research.
All right, quickly, in a few seconds, speak to us about regulation, standardizing the research, because some persons or some in the agri sector have aversion towards research because of the fear of the safety or how safe they are, particularly when you talk about the modified products, genetically modified products.
So when we talk about research in itself, there's an aspect of research that takes care of safety. There's an aspect of research that takes care of what do you call it? There are different levels of licensing that is required to do any form of research. Research is holistic in itself and takes care of that. Okay. And we're not asking for research in areas that are unknown. We're talking about there's nothing that you want to research on that practically does not exist.